We mentioned a few last time, nutrition, and how that can be adjusted, exercise, drinking more water, getting sunshine, and we stopped at temperance. And temperance really is an all-time word, which means moderation in things that are good for you and avoiding things that are bad for you. And so even though, let's say, nuts, we spoke about that many times before, nuts are healthy, we know they're good for us, but we have to be moderate. If we eat too many nuts, we will have bad side effects. We will have high cholesterol. We will gain weight. So we don't want to overindulge the nuts. That's just one example. And we want to avoid things that are obviously bad for us. Alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. Those destroy the system. Those are taxing on the liver, on the kidneys, on the heart, and they lead to a slow breakdown of the body. And so we want to avoid those things if we are looking for full health. Then air. We need fresh air, because in the air we have our oxygen that we need to come in and revitalize every cell. And so we need to get fresh, clean air. We said last time, in the cities, there's so much pollution. And so the Black family may want to consider getting out of the city. You know, once you just start to think about that, you can make plans towards that, getting out of a congested area as much as possible, and living near more trees. Trees are there to not only provide shade, but to absorb toxins and to release positive, good gases, oxygen, so we can be able to be healthier. And if you really can't leave the city, you really can't be near more trees, bring some plants in your home. Having green plants in your home really does help to improve the air quality in your apartment, in your house. Open your windows more often. Have the air flowing in and out of your house. Don't have the windows shut all the time. These are things that can help to improve the air quality in our home and in our surroundings. Rest, a very important law of health that many people struggle with. You know, we need all types of rest. We need rest throughout the day. We should try not to have a really jam-packed going day on a regular basis. We need to rest when it comes to meals. You know, sit down and eat and eat slowly. Rest while you're eating. We need to go to bed on time. Now, on time for many people is subjective. Some folks think midnight is on time, but midnight is not on time. That's a very bad time. Going to bed for your body is ideally around 9 to 10 p.m. because there's some science behind it. It's not just a number we're throwing out there. Around 10 p.m., you have a hormone that begins to surge within your body. It's called melatonin. And that hormone really helps you to have a better sleep. And it also helps you as you start to repair various tissues and organs in your body. So that the best time to sleep is between 10 and midnight. You don't want to be awake doing anything between 10 and midnight. Really turn off the devices, turn off the TV, shut the book, and go to sleep, and get up early and do the rest of what you have to do. Your body thrives better with that kind of schedule. And trust in God. Really, many of our diseases start in our minds because we are so stressed out. We are so worried. We are not giving our burdens, giving our cares over to God as we were intended to do. So we really need to trust in God and depend on Him for our strength, for more power to handle the situations around us. And I want to talk about two more laws of health that I did not mention before. One is investing time in others. When we help others, when we take the attention off of our immediate needs, it does a great deal for our overall mental health and physical health. We need to invest time in others, especially in our youth who need our guidance and direction. They're sometimes so lost, not sure what to do, because they need us to guide them. So we need to invest time in others in order for our own well-being. And then we need to educate ourselves. That's a vital part of being healthy. We need to educate ourselves in regards to good health, finances, and good relationships. And that's
Yeah.
so needed in our Black community. Many times.
And they did want to say,
Mhm.
especially in terms of invest in others. I think what I find through the years is for the Black male, for example, if there's not a mentor in his life, then he tends to get lost somewhere along the journey of life. I think what I found, apart from Jesus Christ, a male mentor is one of the most important influence in the life of a Black male if he's going to succeed
Mm.
at it. And so, because we've gone through a phase in our community where a lot of our families are from single parent families, then there is a great need for particularly men, to make themselves available to be mentors to the young men growing in our community. And so this is something, especially for men who are successful, you can find some time to give back and to really impact somebody's life, particularly a young male.
Powerful, powerful, and that will be an important process in breaking this cycle that we see in the communities here in America, where the Black communities are suffering so much. Those Black
Mhm.
men that have made it need to look back
Mhm.
big time. I agree with you on that one so much, Pastor. That's very important. Um, Educating ourselves when it comes to health. There is a lot of information out there, and sometimes they are completely contradictory, and the average person can become confused. So how
Mhm.
do you know what kind of information to trust when it comes to good health? Well, for me, I can tell you what I use. I try to go back to the basics. what how, what are the basics? How were things when they first were? How were things meant to be? And then I build off of that. We are created beings. We were created, we were designed, and we were given a formula for health. We were not created and just sent off to figure things out. We were told in Genesis 1:29 how to eat. And so whenever I garner information on health, I make sure it's not very far from Genesis 1:29 and from biblical principles. So I base my health information from biblical principles and good science. Not all science is good. Some science is
Mhm.
just out there to promote a cause so that somebody can make a lot of money. So you need to be able to interpret science and see if it's really to benefit somebody's investment, or is it really to
Mhm.
help? Is it really sound science based on pathology, physiology, and what's definitely proven? So biblical principles and good science, that's what I put together. And I'm going to give you some references here, because there are a lot of other doctors like myself who are trying to get the message out on how individuals can be healthy. I'm not the only doctor speaking this language. There are many out there. And so a few of them have written books and have websites and have various ways for you to connect with them so you can continue to learn. There are certain books that I really recommend for folks to look at when they want to reverse and prevent disease in a healthy, sound way, proven scientifically. There's a book by Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn called Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. Now, if you are struggling with heart disease, or your family members are, you don't have to do that anymore. You can educate yourself and learn and understand how to reverse heart disease through a healthy plant-based diet, healthy lifestyle choices. There's a book out there. There's a book by Dr. Dean Ornish, Undo It, a very prestigious scientist who has proven over and over again that a unprocessed plant-based diet is essential to abounding vital health. The Alzheimer's Solution by Dr. Dean and Aisha Shirazi. These are two neurologists that really have studied how plants can help the brain to reconnect. Dr. Dean Barnard's program for reversing diabetes. Diabetes is reversible. The Black community doesn't have to suffer with diabetes as we do. It's reversible. And this book, I've read it. It's excellent. It's simple and it's to the point. And I highly recommend that. Ministry of Healing by Ellen G. White. I've read this book over and over again. I cannot get tired of it because the wisdom in this book is amazing. It is a very good book that I recommend for everyone to read. It speaks about relationships, how to function in ministry, and how to be healthy through the laws of health. If you're one that likes videos, you can watch some videos with your children, with your family. There's one called Forks Over Knives. Very good video showing how America is so sick because of how we eat and how we live. A movie called Eating You Alive. And then Game Changers, showing how protein in plants is enough to be strong and healthy. So these are resources that the Black community can take advantage of when they're trying to figure out how to be healthy. And then, Pastor, there's you and I. We're here every week talking to our people about how to abound in health. Stay with us, join us.
Yeah.
We're live every Monday and Wednesday at 9:30, and then you can find us together on Facebook at Hope SDA, and then on Hope SDA TV on the internet, and then on YouTube on my YouTube site. You know, there are many ways to stay in touch with us because we are continuing to teach you how to be healthy as a Black community and just as humans. We all want to be healthier. There are certain websites that you can go to.
I wanted to mention, go ahead. You can finish.
Oh yeah, there are certain websites you can go to if you want to see more about how to cook healthy foods, how to pick healthy foods. There's forksoverknives.com. They do a very good job. There's PCRM, Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine. These are licensed, board certified physicians and nurses who are teaching a plant-based lifestyle. This is a movement that the Black community must join. We cannot be left out of this movement. There's nutritionfacts.org, where you see how the science, if you're somebody who needs science to do anything, it's right there. He shows you how the science and how the journals support healthy living. There's a website called masteringdiabetes.org. They'll take you step by step on how to reverse your diabetes with plants. And then, of course, my website, Wellness MD Mom. My focus is how to help the family, how to help the mom make changes in her home so that her children can grow up to make healthier choices, even from infancy. How do you feed your baby, your toddler, your teenagers? How do you feed yourself, your spouse? How do you, as the mom, as the woman in the home, help to have a healthier environment? And so these are resources that are there for us, and we really can take full advantage of them.
Yeah, I did want to make a mention, particularly of the finances, being educated in terms of finances and in terms of relationships.
Yes.
And I say finances because, one of the challenges we have as a Black community is that we don't have generational wealth. And part of it is the result of the American system, of course, and the way it has marginalized people of color through the years. And the system is designed so that we don't have wealth and pass it on.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's just a reality. Some neighborhoods we can't live in, some jobs we can't get, all that kind of stuff. Banks don't give money to certain people for whatever reason. They have all kinds of ways to organize it. But I think, though, as parents, we need to learn to make plans for our children and our grandchildren, because the Bible itself says, that a good man leaves something for his grandchildren, and not just his children, his grandchildren. It's a biblical premise. And so some of the simple things we can do as people of color is just buy a life insurance for the protection of our family if we're gone, because a lot of times we find in the Black community, somebody dies, and rather than be a blessing, a double curse. You lose the person, you lose their income, and now you don't have the money to bury them. I've seen that so many times, you see, because they've made no provision. So we have to be a little more proactive in making provisions. We should arrange for our burial services, at least to pay for it, so our families are not stressed out trying to find money to put you in the grave because you died. And then, of course, we should arrange whenever we leave, our income goes with us. So if we've got a family we're caring for, a wife, children, if we die, they're living in poverty if we've made no provision to leave that income for them. You see, and so sometimes in the people of color, among people of color, we don't recognize that insurance is for the person who is left behind. So if we're gone, if we love them, then we make provision for them, you see. And so that is important. And then in terms of building the quality relationships, because for sure, growing up in a stable family is going to, in a lot of instances, determine your mental health as well as your, physical health, you see. And so we've got to be more proactive in learning about relationships, what I mean? And if you plan to get married, get a counselor. Just run down the aisle. Because a lot of times people run down the aisle and next thing they're running out the house. So these are simple things, but if we ignore them, they are to our detriment, you see, because our mental health, our family life impacts our physical health and the stability of our home and our community. So we've got to get educated.
Yes. Powerful. Pastor, do you have any resources at all for relationship, building strong relationships? Any authors that you might like, or I don't know, any books that you think are useful?
Yeah, well, I would probably have to go to my library and pick out a list. There are a number that I've read through the years, and about 2 years ago, I threw away every book I own, and so I threw them all out because I switched to a digital library.
Yeah,
and bought most of the stuff back I used back on digitally, so you don't have these 2,000 books laying around in your house taking you had a whole you needed a library for all the books that the preachers gather over the years. So I switched to a digital library, and so I buy books digitally now, more Kindle and Logos books. But there are a number of good books that I've read through the years. None of them are staying on my mind right now.
Sure.
But what I like to say to our people is, call your pastor. We're trained to try to keep you all together. And that's one thing to do. And that's about the only cheap way, inexpensive way to get good counsel.
Yes.
And then on top of that, counselors earn their money. Counselors earn the money. Sometimes we don't want to pay people for that because we think we can get by without it. But it's important to have a counselor or a mentor in your life, somebody that you and your spouse feel comfortable with, that when you're having a challenge, you can talk to them. And for most people, that probably is the pastor, but some people don't go to church. And so, especially this new generation, they're not connected with the church. So they don't have anybody to call. But you need to have somebody that you can speak with about your relationship issues.
Yes, that's
not usually unique to you. Yeah, these are common problems, and we can generally help you over them.
Yes, awesome. Yes, so just using counseling, and that's a great point. I agree with that. A lot of people don't want to go to counselors and talk about what's going on, but it can make a big difference. Definitely. Okay, all right.
The Black community is afraid of counseling. The Black community in general, we tend to ignore counseling, mental health issues, but we need to. In fact, we need it more than everybody else.
Yes. Yes, because we sure have some problems going on, so we need it.